I never imagined the moment I would hear those words could arrive while I was lying in a hospital bed, weak and exhausted from a procedure I had braved alone. Evelyn White thought to herself, staring at the sterile white ceiling above her, her mind racing faster than her pulse, a mixture of disbelief and quiet fury simmering beneath the surface. Just a week earlier, she had celebrated a quiet success at work, receiving recognition for her contributions to a project that had brought in over $130,000 in revenue annually, a fact she had kept private from her husband, thinking it was none of his concern, yet believing they were partners, sharing their life honestly. In retrospect, Evelyn could now see the signs she had missed, small moments that had seemed insignificant at the time. Jessica Brown, her daughter-in-law, always hovering near conversations about money, subtly steering them away from any discussion that included Evelyn's achievements, or the way her husband, whom she had trusted for decades, had become strangely distant whenever financial topics arose. As Evelyn's hand trembled slightly while gripping the hospital sheets, the door opened and her lawyer stepped in with a neutral expression, placing a file gently on her bedside table. It was the moment when Evelyn learned that her husband had filed for divorce without informing her, and the details within the paperwork revealed a shocking twist. He had cited reasons that painted her in a negligent light, ignoring years of partnership and care, all while Jessica, seemingly supportive on the surface, had quietly orchestrated conversations and actions that led to this betrayal. Evelyn remembered the dinner just a month prior when Jessica had insisted on discussing holiday plans, subtly inserting questions about their joint accounts and Evelyn's investments, questions Evelyn had answered honestly without suspicion. The realization that these innocent-looking queries were actually part of a pattern to gather information for a future advantage made her stomach churn. Evelyn's thoughts shifted rapidly, piecing together memories of casual comments, seemingly playful jabs, and moments when her contributions, both at home and professionally, were quietly dismissed or reframed to diminish her authority. Even in the hospital, she found herself plotting, not with malice, but with precision, how to reclaim the narrative, how to assert the truth without losing composure, how to protect herself financially and emotionally while exposing the layers of deception that had been woven into what she once considered a harmonious household. Despite the cold, clinical environment of her hospital room, Evelyn felt a spark of empowerment ignite within her. She would not be defined by the shock or betrayal, but by her response, measured, strategic, and imbued with the quiet dignity of someone who had seen the cracks in the foundation long before others had noticed. She could almost hear Jessica's voice in her head, a reminder of how appearances could deceive and how trust, once given, could be manipulated. Evelyn took a deep breath, her mind already drafting the first steps of her plan, from contacting family members who had always valued honesty to reviewing her financial records meticulously, ensuring every detail was accounted for, while silently preparing herself to face the inevitable confrontations with calm authority. The hospital beeped steadily, the fluorescent lights casting long shadows across the walls, but Evelyn felt a sense of clarity and purpose she had never experienced before, a certainty that despite the betrayal, she could navigate the turmoil with intelligence, grace, and unwavering resolve, turning a moment that could have broken her into the beginning of a story she would control entirely, one decision at a time. After the shock of the divorce paperwork settled in, Evelyn White found herself reflecting on the life she had built, the routines that had felt so ordinary, and the hidden currents she had failed to notice until they surged into the present moment. She remembered the laughter in their kitchen, the shared meals, the stories told at the breakfast table, all moments she had assumed were untouched by ambition or ulterior motives, yet now appeared tinged with subtle manipulation she had overlooked. Her mind wandered back to the times Jessica Brown had joined her family for Sunday brunches, always polite, always smiling, yet she now recognized the calculated questions about Evelyn's career and investments that had seemed innocent at the time. The way she had probed for details in a manner that did not raise suspicion but quietly gathered information. Evelyn recalled specific evenings when her husband, John, had seemed distant during conversations about finances, shrugging off her mentions of bonuses and raises as though they were trivial, which in retrospect had been a warning sign of his disinterest in mutual transparency. In the quiet moments of the hospital room, Evelyn examined the subtle cues of body language, the way Her husband's emails had taken on a formal tone, the way Jessica's calls had become more frequent, always curious but never revealing her own intentions. She realized that her perception of a happy, harmonious household had been influenced by a desire to see the best in people, a tendency that had allowed deception to unfold unnoticed. As she lay there, Evelyn began to reconstruct the timeline of events, piecing together how seemingly small actions had led to this pivotal moment, the carefully worded questions about her retirement account, the casual comments about her salary, the manner in which documents had been signed without discussion, all orchestrated with subtle precision. She understood now that her initial feelings of betrayal were only the beginning. The clarity came with the recognition that knowledge was her most powerful tool, and she intended to use it wisely. Evelyn thought about the upcoming days, the conversations she would need to have with family members who were unaware of the full situation, and the steps she would take to ensure her financial security, from reviewing all account statements to confirming legal protections, while maintaining a calm and dignified exterior. She reflected on the strength that had carried her through years of professional challenges, realizing that those skills were equally applicable in navigating the personal challenges she now faced. In considering her next moves, Evelyn did not dwell on anger or resentment. Instead, she focused on strategy and presence of mind, visualizing the respectful but firm tone she would adopt when addressing misleading narratives, ready to expose inaccuracies without confrontation, relying on facts and clarity rather than emotion. Every detail mattered, from the wording of her responses to the timing of conversations, and Evelyn recognized the importance of patience, observation, and measured action, understanding that a thoughtful approach would ultimately yield both personal satisfaction and the reinforcement of her integrity. Even amidst the sterile environment of the hospital, she felt an unexpected sense of control, as if the very act of analyzing and planning restored a part of her autonomy that had seemed lost. Evelyn contemplated the balance between revealing the truth and preserving relationships where possible, realizing that careful disclosure could correct misconceptions while minimizing unnecessary conflict. Her mind was alert, her thoughts focused on constructing a reality in which she could stand confidently, demonstrating that honesty, intelligence, and resilience were not only virtues in professional life, but also indispensable tools in maintaining personal dignity and agency. With each passing moment, Evelyn's resolve solidified, the initial shock transforming into a calm determination to navigate this chapter of her life with clarity, strategy, and unwavering self-respect, ensuring that the story that unfolded next would reflect her strength and careful foresight rather than the impulsive reactions of those who had underestimated her. As Evelyn White recovered from her hospital stay, she found herself reflecting not only on the immediate shock of her husband filing for divorce but also on the subtle patterns of behavior that had led to this moment. Each memory, from casual conversations over coffee to family dinners, seemed layered with intentions she had not fully recognized at the time. She recalled a recent Sunday afternoon when she had prepared a homemade apple pie, a tradition she cherished, and noticed Jessica Brown engaging in what appeared to be innocent chatter but in hindsight was a deliberate effort to extract information about Evelyn's work bonuses and upcoming financial plans. Evelyn understood now that her attentiveness to kindness and hospitality had been mistaken for naivety, a misconception that had allowed manipulation to take root unnoticed. As she navigated the days after being discharged, she began to document everything meticulously, from dates and conversations to financial transactions, creating a detailed account that would allow her to understand the sequence of events and make informed decisions moving forward. She made calls to trusted friends who had been part of the family circle for decades, quietly seeking their observations about subtle changes in behavior that she might have overlooked, confirming what she had suspected about the growing divide and the strategic positioning of certain individuals. Evelyn also reflected on the emotional layers of the household dynamics, noting how affection and care had been interwoven with strategic interactions, creating a complex environment that required careful analysis to unravel. She considered the upcoming family gatherings, the interactions that would be unavoidable, and began mentally rehearsing responses that would maintain her composure while subtly asserting the truth. The awareness that she could control her narrative through calm, informed action provided a sense of empowerment she had not anticipated, transforming moments of vulnerability into opportunities for strategic clarity. Evelyn also spent time reviewing her professional achievements, reminding herself of the skills, discipline, and intelligence that had enabled her to thrive independently of familial dynamics. This reflection reinforced her confidence in making choices based on rational assessment rather than emotion, ensuring that each step taken was deliberate and aligned with her long-term objectives. She acknowledged the difficulty of disentangling personal feelings from strategic considerations, yet recognized that patience and observation were her greatest allies in navigating the delicate balance between asserting her rights and maintaining family connections where possible. Throughout the week, Evelyn maintained a careful routine, blending moments of rest with planning, ensuring that she was physically and mentally prepared for the challenges ahead. She considered potential legal consultations and financial reviews, not as acts of retaliation but as measures of responsible stewardship over her own life and assets. Even simple tasks, such as organizing her personal documents and reviewing previous correspondences, took on new significance, each step contributing to a broader understanding of the patterns that had enabled deception to flourish. Evelyn reflected on the importance of maintaining dignity and calm, realizing that her responses would serve as a model for fairness and integrity within the family. By embracing a methodical approach to uncovering the truth and asserting her position, she felt a renewed sense of control over her circumstances, confident that she could navigate the remaining challenges with intelligence and composure. As she prepared to face the inevitable conversations with her husband and Jessica, Evelyn recognized that the combination of careful observation, factual documentation, and strategic planning would not only protect her interests but also illuminate the truth in a manner that left no room for misunderstanding or manipulation. This clarity, rooted in patience and insight, became the cornerstone of her approach, guiding her through each interaction and decision with unwavering confidence and precision, transforming the initial shock of betrayal into a foundation for thoughtful action and personal empowerment. The days following her discharge from the hospital brought Evelyn White a sense of clarity that contrasted sharply with the initial shock of her husband John filing for divorce. Each morning, she woke early, appreciating the quiet of her suburban neighborhood in Pennsylvania, the sun casting warm light across her kitchen where she brewed a cup of strong coffee and reviewed her notes from the previous day. She had developed a meticulous system, cataloging conversations, emails, and financial statements, allowing her to visualize patterns and identify inconsistencies with precision. Evelyn reflected on how Jessica Brown's behavior had evolved over the past year, noting how small manipulations and carefully phrased questions about household and personal finances had slowly revealed an underlying agenda, one that Evelyn had only now fully understood. She reviewed her interactions with John, remembering subtle cues such as the distracted tone in his voice during certain discussions, the way he had avoided conversations about her professional achievements, and the moments when he seemed to defer to Jessica's suggestions even on matters that directly concerned Evelyn. As Evelyn prepared light meals for herself, she considered the upcoming family events and social gatherings, mentally rehearsing conversations that would allow her to maintain composure, assert her position with dignity, and communicate her perspective clearly without creating unnecessary conflict. She recognized the importance of choosing words carefully, knowing that the tone and structure of her statements could influence how others perceived the situation, and that patience was crucial in revealing the truth strategically. Throughout the day, Evelyn also revisited her career accomplishments, reminding herself of the skills, dedication, and resilience that had enabled her to achieve financial independence and professional recognition, reaffirming her confidence in handling both personal and practical challenges. In her quiet moments, she reflected on the value of observation, understanding that the smallest details, from a tone of voice to an offhand remark, could provide insights into motives and intentions. This awareness became a guiding principle in how she approached her interactions with family members, allowing her to engage with calm attentiveness while planning her next steps carefully. Evelyn also considered her emotional well-being, incorporating moments of reflection and gentle exercise to ensure that her mind remained clear and focused. By maintaining a balance between strategic thinking and personal care, she could navigate the complex dynamics of her household and extended family with composure and insight. As she reviewed her plans for documenting evidence and organizing communications, she felt a growing sense of empowerment, recognizing that knowledge and careful preparation provided her with control over a situation that initially seemed overwhelming. The clarity she gained from systematic reflection enabled her to approach future interactions with John and Jessica not from a place of reaction, but from deliberate, informed choices, demonstrating both integrity and resilience. Evelyn's attention to detail extended to ensuring that all her financial records, legal documents, and correspondence were organized and accessible, a step she viewed not merely as precautionary but as a reaffirmation of her autonomy and self-respect. Each decision, each measured action, reinforced her commitment to navigate this challenging period with grace, transforming an experience of betrayal into an opportunity for personal growth, clarity, and the restoration of balance within her life. By integrating observation, strategic planning, and emotional discipline, Evelyn cultivated an inner strength that allowed her to face difficult conversations and unexpected developments with poise, ensuring that her voice, perspective, and dignity remained central throughout the unfolding events. Evelyn White spent the following days carefully planning her approach to navigate the delicate social and familial landscape that had suddenly shifted beneath her feet. Each morning, she sat in her sunlit living room, sipping tea and reviewing the detailed notes she had meticulously compiled over the past week, which included dates, conversations, and observations that now provided a clear picture of the subtle manipulations at play. She reflected on how Jessica Brown had skillfully presented a charming, supportive persona while quietly influencing John's decisions and perceptions, creating a version of reality that obscured the truth. Evelyn considered the psychological aspects of this dynamic, recognizing how appearances, politeness, and social norms had been leveraged to create confusion and doubt. She spent time strategizing the conversations she would have with extended family members, aiming to communicate facts and observations in a calm, composed manner, ensuring that her perspective would be understood without escalating tension. Evelyn also revisited her own professional life, noting the independence, resilience, and intelligence that had always guided her decision-making, reaffirming her ability to handle complex situations with clarity and confidence. She reflected on her interactions with John, understanding that his reactions were influenced by the environment Jessica had cultivated, and resolved to approach any discussion with focus and precision, presenting evidence and timelines to support her observations. Evelyn dedicated time to organizing all relevant documents, from financial statements to emails, to ensure she could respond accurately and confidently to any claims or misunderstandings. She also considered the timing of her communications, recognizing that patience and measured action were essential in shaping the narrative and ensuring her perspective was fully considered. Throughout this period, Evelyn maintained a routine that balanced observation, reflection, and self-care, incorporating light exercise, short walks in the neighborhood, and moments of quiet contemplation to maintain mental clarity and emotional equilibrium. She visualized the upcoming family gatherings, planning how to navigate each interaction with composure, how to assert her position without confrontation, and how to subtly illuminate inconsistencies in the narrative that had been constructed around her. Evelyn understood that clarity, calmness, and well-prepared communication would be her strongest tools, allowing her to assert her perspective and protect her interests while minimizing unnecessary conflict. She thought about the importance of tone, body language, and the sequencing of information, recognizing that strategic delivery could enhance understanding and credibility. Evelyn also reflected on the lessons she had learned from past experiences, understanding that resilience, intelligence, and a measured approach were crucial in managing personal and familial challenges. Each day, as she reviewed her notes and rehearsed conversations, she felt a growing sense of empowerment, a steady confidence that she could navigate this situation effectively and with dignity. By focusing on observation, analysis, and strategic action, Evelyn prepared to face the next chapter with poise, ensuring that her voice and perspective would be heard clearly and that her integrity and autonomy remained intact. Even in moments of uncertainty, she maintained focus on her objectives, confident that thoughtful preparation and careful action would guide her through the complexities of family dynamics and protect both her emotional and practical well-being. Evelyn White approached the following week with a steady determination, each morning beginning with a deliberate review of her notes and a quiet assessment of the steps she needed to take to maintain clarity and control over her situation. She reflected on the subtleties of communication within her household, noticing how Jessica Brown's interactions were often layered with politeness and suggestion, masking intentions that had previously gone unnoticed. Evelyn considered the importance of timing in delivering her perspective, understanding that presenting her observations and supporting evidence at the appropriate moment could ensure that her voice was heard clearly and respectfully. As she walked through her home, sipping a cup of herbal tea, she visualized upcoming encounters, rehearsing conversations and planning how to maintain composure while highlighting discrepancies in the narrative that had been formed around her absence or perceived vulnerabilities. She also devoted time to reviewing her professional work and achievements, recognizing that her independence and accomplishments were foundational to her confidence and would support her credibility in family discussions. Evelyn meticulously organized her documentation, from emails to financial records, ensuring that every detail was accessible and verifiable, providing her with a framework to address any misunderstandings or misrepresentations without confrontation. She reflected on the patterns of behavior she had observed, noting how charm, politeness, and subtle inquiry had been used strategically by Jessica to influence perceptions, and she planned how to gently but firmly correct misconceptions through careful, factual communication. Throughout her days, Evelyn maintained a balance between analytical planning and self-care, incorporating quiet walks in her neighborhood, short meditation sessions, and light household routines that kept her mind focused and her body energized. She considered the reactions of other family members and how best to communicate with them in ways that would encourage understanding without escalation, using empathy and clarity to build alignment where possible. Evelyn also reviewed her own emotional responses, making note of moments where impatience or frustration could influence her approach, and she practiced responding with measured calmness to ensure her communications remained effective and composed. The awareness of her autonomy and capacity to make thoughtful, strategic decisions reinforced her sense of empowerment, providing a stable foundation for each interaction she faced. She reflected on the importance of observing carefully, listening attentively, and preparing meticulously, understanding that these actions would allow her to navigate complex family dynamics with confidence and dignity. Evelyn also considered the long-term implications of her strategy, planning not only for immediate clarity and understanding but also for maintaining ongoing respect and integrity within her family relationships. Each day, as she reviewed her plans, rehearsed conversations, and maintained her routine, she felt her confidence solidify, knowing that she could assert her perspective thoughtfully, maintain her dignity, and manage the unfolding situation with intelligence and grace. By integrating careful observation, strategic communication, and emotional discipline, Evelyn prepared herself to address upcoming challenges effectively, ensuring that her actions were guided by reason, respect, and a clear understanding of the circumstances, turning a moment of unexpected betrayal into an opportunity to demonstrate resilience, clarity, and strength of character. Evelyn White approached the next stage of her recovery with a heightened sense of awareness, recognizing that the subtle dynamics within her family required careful navigation and strategic observation. Each morning, she began her day by reviewing the notes she had meticulously compiled over the past weeks, tracking conversations, financial details, and social interactions that could illuminate patterns of influence and intention. Evelyn reflected on the ways Jessica Brown had maintained a facade of concern and warmth while gradually shaping perceptions and decisions in ways that aligned with her own interests, and she resolved to address these discrepancies with measured clarity. She spent time preparing for family interactions, visualizing scenarios in which she could present facts calmly and assertively, ensuring her perspective would be acknowledged without escalating tensions. Evelyn also revisited her personal and professional accomplishments, reaffirming her confidence and reinforcing the foundation upon which she could stand firm in discussions about fairness, integrity, and mutual respect. As she organized documents, correspondence, and financial records, she recognized the importance of having an accurate, accessible account of events and resources, providing her with the tools to respond with authority and clarity when needed. Throughout the day, she maintained a disciplined routine of light exercise, reflection, and quiet observation, balancing physical well-being with mental clarity to sustain focus and composure. Evelyn considered the social aspects of her upcoming encounters, noting the subtle signals from family members and the potential for miscommunication or misinterpretation, and she developed strategies to ensure that her intentions and insights were communicated effectively. She practiced responses that combined empathy and firmness, understanding that a thoughtful approach would help reinforce her credibility while maintaining respectful relationships. Evelyn also contemplated the psychological factors at play, recognizing how habits of politeness, charm, and social convention could be used to mask intentions, and she prepared to gently but assertively clarify any misunderstandings or misrepresentations. By maintaining detailed records, rehearsing conversations, and observing social cues, she was able to cultivate a sense of control and readiness, turning potential moments of uncertainty into opportunities for measured action. Evelyn's approach combined careful planning, attention to detail, and emotional intelligence, allowing her to navigate complex family dynamics with grace and authority. Each day reinforced the importance of patience, clarity, and strategic thinking, and Evelyn felt a growing confidence in her ability to manage interactions without compromising her dignity or values. She reviewed upcoming social engagements, thinking carefully about timing, phrasing, and the presentation of information, ensuring that her perspective would be clear and respected. Evelyn understood that by integrating observation, preparation, and calm communication, she could assert her voice effectively and protect her interests while fostering understanding and respect among family members. This careful, deliberate approach gave her a sense of empowerment and peace, allowing her to move forward with confidence, knowing that her actions were guided by insight, integrity, and thoughtful strategy, and that she was fully equipped to handle whatever challenges and conversations lay ahead with composure and resilience. Evelyn White felt a renewed sense of purpose as she prepared to navigate the next family gathering, understanding that careful observation and strategic communication would be essential in asserting her perspective. She began her day reviewing the notes she had compiled, tracing the sequence of interactions that had led to her current situation, and identifying key points where clarity and fact-based communication could influence perceptions effectively. Each detail mattered, from the tone of voice to the phrasing of statements, and Evelyn was determined to maintain composure while ensuring her observations and experiences were accurately represented. She considered how Jessica Brown had carefully curated her public persona, blending warmth, charm, and attentiveness, all while quietly steering decisions and conversations to support her own objectives. Evelyn planned to address these subtle manipulations indirectly, presenting factual information in a way that highlighted discrepancies without causing unnecessary conflict, relying on calm authority rather than confrontation. She reflected on past family events, identifying moments where misunderstandings or assumptions had shifted the narrative, and she crafted strategies to gently redirect conversations to ensure that her perspective was acknowledged and respected. In parallel, Evelyn reviewed her professional accomplishments, reaffirming the independence, discipline, and problem-solving skills that had supported her throughout her career, recognizing that these qualities also provided a foundation for handling personal challenges with clarity and confidence. She meticulously organized documents, financial records, and correspondence, creating an accessible system that would allow her to respond promptly and accurately to questions or concerns raised by family members. Evelyn also considered the social dynamics at play, noting how group conversations, body language, and social cues could either support or obscure her intentions, and she developed strategies to engage thoughtfully and persuasively in these interactions. Maintaining her routine of quiet reflection, light exercise, and focused planning, she balanced mental clarity with physical well-being, understanding that a composed mind and body would enhance her ability to respond effectively in emotionally charged situations. Evelyn rehearsed conversations in her mind, visualizing various outcomes and preparing responses that combined empathy, clarity, and assertiveness, ensuring she could communicate her position without provoking defensiveness or tension. She also reflected on the importance of timing, knowing that presenting information at the right moment could maximize understanding and minimize misunderstandings. By integrating observation, preparation, and calm communication, Evelyn cultivated a sense of control and readiness, allowing her to approach the family gathering with confidence and dignity. She understood that this measured approach would not only protect her interests but also provide clarity and insight to those around her, fostering a more transparent and respectful environment. As the day progressed, Evelyn felt her confidence grow, recognizing that thoughtful planning, attention to detail, and emotional discipline were her strongest tools in navigating the complexities of family dynamics, and that by maintaining integrity and composure, she could assert her voice effectively while preserving both her dignity and the potential for constructive dialogue. Every action she took, from organizing documents to rehearsing conversations and observing social nuances, reinforced her readiness, ensuring that she was fully prepared to engage with her family thoughtfully, strategically, and with unwavering self-respect, turning the challenges of the moment into opportunities for clarity, empowerment, and the restoration of balance within her personal and family life. Evelyn White entered the following days with a focused sense of purpose, fully aware that clarity, patience, and strategic communication would be essential in restoring equilibrium to her family interactions. She began each morning by reviewing the careful records she had assembled, noting patterns of behavior, inconsistencies in statements, and subtle cues from prior conversations that revealed underlying motives. She reflected on the way Jessica Brown had maintained a facade of warmth and attentiveness while quietly influencing decisions and shaping perceptions, and Evelyn resolved to address these dynamics with calm authority and factual precision. As she moved through her daily routine, she rehearsed interactions and responses in her mind, imagining how to present observations thoughtfully, highlight discrepancies without creating tension, and ensure her perspective would be fully understood. Evelyn also dedicated time to revisiting her professional achievements, reaffirming her independence, discipline, and problem-solving abilities, recognizing that these skills were instrumental in navigating complex personal and familial situations. She organized all relevant documentation, from financial records to correspondence, in a manner that allowed for immediate reference, ensuring that she could respond to questions or misunderstandings efficiently and with confidence. Throughout the day, she maintained balance between analytical reflection and physical well-being, incorporating brief walks, light stretches, and moments of quiet contemplation to sustain focus and composure. Evelyn considered the social dynamics of upcoming family engagements, noting how group conversations, body language, and timing could influence the reception of her perspective, and she developed strategies to communicate effectively, assert her position with grace, and subtly illuminate inconsistencies in the narratives she encountered. She rehearsed responses that combined empathy, firmness, and clarity, aiming to foster understanding while protecting her own interests and integrity. Evelyn also reflected on the importance of timing, understanding that presenting information at the most opportune moment would maximize comprehension and reduce misunderstandings. By integrating observation, preparation, and deliberate communication, she cultivated a sense of control and readiness, transforming potential moments of uncertainty into opportunities for thoughtful, measured action. She focused on listening carefully, interpreting social cues, and responding with intention, knowing that each interaction contributed to shaping the broader family dynamic in a manner consistent with her values and objectives. Evelyn's deliberate approach reinforced her confidence, allowing her to engage with family members in a composed, insightful, and authoritative manner, ensuring that her voice was heard, her perspective acknowledged, and her dignity preserved. Each step she took was guided by reason, clarity, and strategic foresight, enabling her to navigate challenges with poise and resilience, and gradually reclaim balance and understanding within the family structure, demonstrating that thoughtful observation, careful planning, and integrity could transform a period of unexpected upheaval into an opportunity for empowerment and restored harmony.